Hey everybody, this is Jim at SP500chart.com. It's a few minutes after 4 p.m. on August 20th, 2013. We're going to look at the chart. But before we do so, I need to remind you that the website and the video are for educational purposes only, and nothing stated at the side or in the video is intended to be used as investment advice. I can draw lines on charts, but you have to draw your own conclusions from your own research and make investment decisions that are suitable for your personal financial situation. I am not a licensed financial professional. I'm just a guy who draws lines on charts. Well, kind of an interesting day today. We were positive. It turns out our little tiny dip underneath this support line, which, by the way, I have extended all the way back to here just because it happens to line up. So with that being the case, I think it's worth doing. But yesterday we closed just a hair underneath that line, and I've massaged it just a little bit so that this now is actually where we make the bounce. It's really so close it doesn't matter that much. But here's what's interesting. If we zoom in just a little bit on today, you can see that that we got our bounce. Even though we started maybe 1 point or so underneath this line where it was drawn yesterday, we immediately started to trade up. We actually got a little bit over the top line and traded around for a little bit and got over that kind of pesky 1654 mark and went up sideways, and then we saw some late day weakness bringing us back to, and I didn't move this line. I don't know whether it was just always at 1653.51 or whether I thought it was 1654 or what. I didn't move this line, and once again, I guess I just got real darn lucky, because frankly, if this line was where it should have been, you know, I probably would have moved it down a little bit, but I'm going to leave it right where it was. And we end up closing on that line, which is always the $64,000 question. Closing on what looks like may be support. Does that mean we get a bounce? Now yesterday, because we were in a descending channel when we closed down here, it was a reasonable assumption. Yeah, we should. I don't think that little getting barely under there is going to matter that much. It looks like we probably should head up and at least test this line. And then we get over it, but then that late day weakness. So the question is, does it bounce here? Or does it break through here and come back down for a back test down under 1650? I guess the good news is that either one of those possibilities is livable. You know, it's not like we're talking about if we get underneath this line, then we're looking for a loss of 10% in the markets. Nothing like that. So if this line gives way, then look for a move back down to retest this broken resistance line, at which point it's reasonable to expect a bounce back up. If, on the other hand, we go ahead and bounce tomorrow and start to head back up, that's also a reasonable outcome. What's, I think, important, and even though it's still not in a technically significant amount, but what I think is somewhat noteworthy, let's say, is the fact that we broke out over that top line, and that at least signals some a willingness for the S&P to pick up some buyers here. Now, just one more thing I want to show you before we get on with it and wrap this up, because really nothing super new has happened today. But I'm going to put this new trend line right here, and we're going to make it purple, because that's our trend line that we use when we're looking at a potential neckline of a potential head and shoulders or inverted head and shoulders pattern. And we do have a potential inverted head and shoulders here. If we get this bounce, or even if we sell down to this blue line and then come back and take this line out, as long as we don't set a low that surpasses the low that we saw near yesterday's close or today's open, which was at roughly 1646, as long as we don't get down below that, if we rally back either off of this line or off of this line, and we rally back to take this neckline out, then, drum roll please, then we would be looking at a pattern that should take us up over 1670. Sadly, that's not a huge move. I wish it were, but it's not. So, guys, that's about it for today. I think if you've been following things in the other videos, I don't see anything else today that really calls out for digging into what's going on here. We just got over this little 3-day descending channel that formed after that gap down, which, by the way, if we were to rally up to 1685, then now I think we would need to expect gap resistance. So we're extending this line out because this will likely be resistance now. So there you have it. This might produce a bounce. This should produce a bounce. Breaking out over this line right here should produce a move into the low 1670s. So guys, that's it for August 20th, 2013. I sincerely appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch this, and I especially appreciate your willingness to support what I do at SP500chart.com. I do appreciate it. Take care.